Hello everyone, welcome to day 2 of the Kayla 5-day bag making course. Today we're going to be cutting out your PDF pattern, so make sure you have your paper scissors handy. We're also going to cut out our fabric, so also have your separate fabric scissors, and we're going to cut out our interfacing. Make sure you have your iron handy, because after we cut out our fabric and our interfacing, we're going to fuse our interfacing to our fabric. So let's get started. Alright, so make sure now that you have printed out your PDF pattern. You should have a 1-inch square here, and go ahead and measure that square with a ruler just to make sure that it is accurate. You want to make sure that when you print out your pattern, you print it at 100% or actual size, because you want to make sure that all of your pattern pieces are accurate. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to take my paper scissors, I'm going to set my tape aside right now, and I'm going to cut my pieces. So on the first 2 pages, you should see some triangles in the corner. Alright? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take 1A, and I'm going to trim close to the line. Alright, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to line it up with my triangle that's on 1B. Alright, once you have your triangle lined up properly, go ahead and take some tape and tape it together. I like to trim down a little bit of the back as well. That's just a personal preference. You don't have to do this, but it makes it easier to work with, in my opinion. And I also like to tape the back of the pattern. Once you have your pattern piece taped together, go ahead and cut around the solid line. Alright, so this is the main body of your bag. I'm going to set this aside. And piece number 2 is your flap, so I'm just going to cut around the solid line. Alright, that's pattern piece number 2. Set that aside. And then you have pattern pieces 3 and 4. So you're just going to cut around the solid lines on 3 and 4. Alright, so now you should have 4 pieces. You should have your main pattern piece, your flap, your slip pocket, and your strap tabs. So now we're going to cut out our fabric, our lining, and our interfacing. So I'm starting out with my exterior fabric. I'm going to cut those pieces out first. And since my pattern pieces are so small, what I'm going to do, my fabric right now is folded with the wrong side spacing. That's just the way I got it from the fabric store. What I'm going to do, I'm going to unfold it. And I'm just going to fold over just enough for the amount that I need for my pattern piece. Your pattern pieces will be cut on the fold. And on the fold of the fabric means once you have your fabric folded, and your fabric is usually folded right sides facing. But once you have your fabric folded, you're going to place your pattern piece on the fold. Alright. So for this exterior fabric, I'm going to need to cut 2. And I'm going to move it just a little bit more. This pattern piece is small. Alright. You're going to take it, place your pattern weights down to hold your pattern piece in place, and you're going to cut around, and you're going to do this twice. For your flap, you're also going to cut on the fold. So I'm placing the pattern piece on the fold. And for the flap, you cut one of the exterior fabric and you cut one of lining. If you want to use the same fabric for your lining, you can do that as well, but for this video I'm going to cut this as my exterior fabric, and I'm going to cut a different color lining fabric just so we can keep everything together. You're also going to need to cut 4 of your strap tabs. So alright, so let's grab our lining fabric, and I'm going to fold my fabric the same way I folded the exterior fabric. I'm going to unfold it. And I'm just going to fold it over a little bit on one side. And you're going to cut 2 using your main pattern piece. You're going to cut 2 of lining, just like you cut 2 of the exterior fabric on the fold. So let's cut the other side of our flap. You're cutting 1 on the fold of lining. You're also going to cut your slip pocket, pattern piece number 3, out of the lining fabric. And you're going to cut 2 pieces. And you're not cutting this pattern piece on the fold. Alright, so let's start out by cutting our fusible fleece. So you cut it the same way. You place it on the fold. and I'm cutting 2 on the fold. Okay, now my flap, cutting 2 on the fold. So now we're going to cut out our woven interfacing. Again, we're going to cut out 2 with our main pattern piece. You're also going to cut 2 of woven interfacing for your slip pocket. And you're going to cut out 2 for your strap tab of woven interfacing. So now let's go over all of the pattern pieces, the fabric and interfacing that you should have cut out. So let's go over all of your pattern pieces. You have pattern piece number 1, which is your main piece. You should have cut 2 of exterior fabric, 2 of fusible fleece, 2 of lining, and 2 of woven interfacing. Pattern piece number 2, your flap, you should have cut 2. Pattern piece number 2, your flap, you should have cut 1 of exterior fabric, 1 of lining, and 2 of fusible fleece. Pattern piece number 3, your slip pocket, you should have cut 2 of lining and 2 of woven interfacing. And pattern piece number 4, your strap tabs, you should have cut 2 of your exterior fabric and 2 of woven interfacing. Now let's move on to ironing our interfacing onto our fabric. So now that we have all of our fabric and lining and interfacing cut, let's go ahead and iron on our interfacing. So first, working with the main piece, you should have 2 main pieces and 2 pieces of fusible fleece. You're going to take 1 main piece, and I just like to iron over it just to kind of get the wrinkles out. You're going to place your fusible fleece with the bumpy side facing the wrong side of your fabric, and you should be using a pressing cloth. I'm not using one for video purposes, but you should definitely use a pressing cloth. And what you're going to do, you're just going to place your iron down and you're going to hold it. About 10 seconds may do. And you're just going to continue to press your iron down until you get the fusible fleece completely fused to your main piece. And once I'm done, I don't lift it up immediately. I give it time to cool off a little bit before I lift it up. Alright, and you can test it to see if it fused. You can kind of pull it back a little bit just to see. And once you have it fused to one piece, grab your other main piece and you're going to fuse the other piece of fusible fleece the same way. You should also have 2 lining pieces for your main piece, and you should have 2 pieces of woven interfacing. So you're going to take your lining, you're going to take your woven interfacing, And you're going to place it with the bumpy side facing the wrong side of your lining. And you're going to press and hold just like you did the main piece. So next up you have your flap piece. This is your exterior fabric. And for the exterior and the lining, you're going to fuse fusible fleece to your flap. And make sure you have the bumpy side facing down. Fuse your lining piece the same way. For your slip pocket, you should have 2 pieces of lining cut. And you should also have 2 pieces of woven interfacing. Place your woven interfacing with the bumpy side facing down. Do the other slip pocket piece the same way. And last but not least, you have your strap tabs. You should have 2 of them and 2 pieces of woven interfacing. Place your woven interfacing with the bumpy side facing down and press. If you have any questions for me, please send me an email at info@legionero.com and I'll make sure that I answer all of your questions in a timely manner.